No. Welcome everyone to today's CSIA Wednesday webinar series. My name is Colin Hammond and I will be your host today. From its start, CSIA was built on the principle of collaboration and with the goal to advance the industry of control system integration. In times of crisis, our members have turned to the CSIA community as a trusted source for advice and inspiration. In line with this, we have begun this Wednesday webinar series. Our goal is to help our community manage, survive, and hopefully thrive from the current crisis. We plan to cover a wide range of topics on coping and or leveraging the current situation and have SIs, vendor partners, and special guests present. For those of you who are unfamiliar with CSIA, we are a global nonprofit professional association with over 500 member companies in 40 countries. Our mission is to advance the practice of control system integration to benefit our members and their clients. Our vision is to ensure that manufacturing and process industries everywhere have access to low risk, safe, and successful application of automation technology. CSIA membership offers members access to resources needed to attain and exceed business goals. To highlight just a few of our many member benefits, the CSIA Best Practices Manual guides control system integration companies in the setup and running of a solid company. CSIA's Business Insurance Program offers members an excellent insurance program for business contractors, owners, and more. The program includes members from all over the world enjoying the peace of mind that comes with CSIA insurance. Clients in all industries are now seeking integrators with the CSIA certification alongside ISO. They recognize CSIA certified integrators' commitment to industry standards and business acumen. As a result, being certified can shorten the sales cycle. CSIA Industrial Automation Exchange is the premier automation guide featuring system integrators and suppliers to provide industrial, manufacturing, and process automation solutions. For integrators and suppliers, it's a place to market their expertise. Clients will find white papers, case studies, capabilities, contact information, and engage in conversation directly with CSIA members. Please be sure to follow CSIA's online events calendar for all upcoming webinars, including partner webinars, Wednesday webinars, and business webinars. CSIA partner webinars are opportunities given to CSIA industry partners to address hot topics and demonstrate their expertise. You won't want to miss these opportunities to learn from the comfort of your own office or home. And for more information about CSIA, please visit our website or contact us at info@staff.controlsys.org or 847-686-2245. And at this time, I would like to introduce our speaker, Sam Hoff. I'm just going to go ahead and get your next slides up here, Sam.
Thank you, Colin.
Here we go.
Oh, you gotta go back to the beginning.
And while we're doing this and before we get started,
there we go. Okay. Go ahead.
Let me say a few words to the participants. This is Jose Rivera, the CEO of CSIA. And before we get started, I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. I also want to remind you that we are restarting the Digital Transformation Task Force, the one that we started off last year, and that created good thought, discussion, and progress for some system integrators who have been actively involved in this interesting journey. It had nothing to do with COVID, but the pandemic has proven that this is the right path for system integrators to follow, and in a way, the crisis is accelerating this. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Sam, who has been the chair of this task force, and very glad to have you back on stage. Sam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jose. Wow. I was hoping I would see a lot of you guys last month in New Orleans, but unfortunately that didn't happen. You know, I was telling my son the other day that 20 is kind of my lucky number, and I said one thing is 2020 is going to be a year he remembers. So down the road, when he's telling his grandkids about his youth, he can say, yep, at age 17, I remember 2020, and this is what was happening then. So we are living in memorable times. Like Jose said, Jose has helped me chair the Digital Transformation Task Force. It's been a lot more education than anything else. Really have enjoyed learning some things. And I said for kicking this back off, I'd just kind of like to talk about some of the ways that digital transformation is going to help in the future with COVID. So with that, Colin, go ahead and hit on the next slide. I'm sure most of you guys know me. Some of you may not. I'm president of PADI Engineering. I get asked a lot of times.
Sorry about that. Give me 1 second here.
Not a problem, Colin. So anyway, a lot of people ask me, you know, who is Patty? And Patty is my wife and the CFO of the company. And, you know, if I'm ever bad, you'll never see me again. And I know a lot of you people that know Patty just kind of wonder what the heck she sees in me. And I kind of thank my good blessings every day that I'm lucky to have her. Go ahead and go forward. So PADI Engineering, we have expertise in automation and robotics. We've done a lot of RFID projects over the years, a lot of SCADA type projects, done a lot of edge computing and industrial networking, a lot of CNC drives, motion, digitalization and virtual commissioning, a lot of vision systems and cloud analytics. We're really building up our team for doing data science and contextualizing the data to manufacturing systems. PADI Engineering was founded in 1991 and basically started out with me in a laptop. And I started PADI Engineering in June of 91 and I married Patty in June of 91 also. So go ahead, you can flip forward, Colin. So great quotation, you know, and I think this kind of sums it up. When digital transformation is done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. When it's done wrong, all you really have is a really fast caterpillar. And I think we talk about digital projects and getting stuck in proof of concept hell. I think a lot of times people go into digital projects kind of with over realistic expectations and not trying to get the value add of what you can get out of the digital projects. I know like many of you, a couple months ago, every night at 5 o'clock, the highlight was turning on Trump's press conference to see what would be said that day and what the update was. And Peter Navarro in one of those, and I just about cried when he said this, is you know, the key to recovering our manufacturing base is going to be through smart manufacturing. So I thought that was really awesome. So Colin, go ahead and go forward. So today's topics really focus on 3 things. Reducing people on the plant floor, ensuring worker safety, and working smarter. We do have 3 polls today in the presentation. I'll be asking Colin to kind of report to us on what the polls indicate. So when those polls come up, Colin, can you kind of go over how those polls will work a little bit, and I'll throw it back to you?
Yeah, sure. So when I click the polls, it'll basically show up on your screen and it'll ask you just a quick prompt, and it will, you'll have the one question and a couple of different answers, and it's single choice. So pick your choice, and then I will throw up the results back once Sam is finished explaining them.
Perfect.
Did you want me to go ahead and throw that first poll up, Sam?
Well, let's go ahead and go to the slide, and I'll just do a brief introduction, and then we'll throw it up. How's that sound?
Sure thing.
So there's a movie here a little bit about virtual commissioning, and if you want to go ahead and play that, Colin, that'd be great. Thank you very much. So, virtual commissioning, and we showed Siemens there. If you, well, that's all right. Leave it on this slide. But if it's going to cost you more time up front, because you're certainly going to have to build the models and build the tests, but it really reduces the time that you need on the floor. It reduces travel time, less flights, less hotels, less meals. For your clients, you're able to, how often do we not be able to test the code until the mechanical system is built? And then a lot of times, the controls guy will get in there and the mechanical guy might have changed the design. Well, by taking whatever SolidWorks they have, bringing it in, it doesn't have to be Siemens virtual commissioning. There's a lot of different companies that make ways to be able to virtually commission your code. But by seeing those mechanical errors up front, you can even sometimes go back and have mechanical guys change it. It's interesting. We work with a company and they're completely digital on their design, and the mechanical design, the controls guys said, you realize the way you've designed this, it's going to be really hard for us to control this piece of equipment. And the mechanical guys like, no, I didn't even consider that. And so they were able to change the mechanical design before anything was ever built to make it easier to control. Now, and that goes into a key point of the virtual commissioning is you really need a lot more collaboration with a lot of other teams up front. So I guess, Colin, at this point, let's kind of go up and throw up the poll.
Sure thing. Okay, so that's in progress now, Sam. I'll let you know when we get to a higher percentage of the attendees that have voted. Okay, so let's stop there and share results.
So that's very interesting. It's great to see that 67% or 2/3 of the people on the presentation are actually doing some virtual commissioning. And 6% are actually doing all virtual commissioning. That's terrific. Also, yeah, very interesting feedback. Thank you, Colin.
All right.
Oh, I see. Never mind. I'm like, the poll's still up in the middle of my screen, but I realized I had to exit.
Oh, sorry about that.
No,
Okay.
that's all right. It's, I was joking today with some of my young engineers. When you get to 50, you become an idiot with technology. So, condition monitoring has been around for a while. I'm sure we've all seen the IBM commercial where the guy goes to the lobby. I love this commercial, and the security guard goes, "Well, we didn't call you. There's not an elevator broken." He goes, "Well, elevator number 4 is going to break next week. That's why I'm here." The area of condition monitoring, a lot of end users are really starting to see the benefits of this. We have a client. They have these huge presses, been around forever. And they had a severe breakdown right before Christmas. Thank God nobody was hurt, but the repair to that press was well over $1 million. If they would have called it early, they probably could have fixed the thing for $50,000. So, this is a chart that was put together by a company called Allied Reliability, but you've seen this around. By being able to detect issues early, you can significantly reduce your cost to repair and significantly improve your client's uptime. The guy was saying that, like, if you have a system that's going to break, usually what happens first is, think about your car that you're driving or whatever. When something's going to go in the engine, early on, you're going to hear a little bit of noise, right? You might hear something funny out of the engine. Everything else is okay, but you're hearing some noise, or you're hearing some noise out of your brake. And then as motors go towards failure, or systems go towards failure, then a lot of times you can feel heat building up because of energy being dissipated and energy being wasted and all. And then you get to the point that it's a major break. And that's the time that your cost of repair is tremendous and it's costing you a lot of downtime. So, many of these systems can be cloud-based. A lot of times where these systems fail is when you add additional sensors to the system and you want the customer to monitor it locally. Because what happens invariably is, maintenance people and operations people, they're concerned about today. They're concerned about keeping their equipment running, and not really concerned about, okay, this may break down the road, and not really wanting to go and check all this stuff. So by being able to put this in the cloud and being able to trigger notifications to your clients, you're able to warn them a lot earlier. And one of the keys for integrators on this whole thing is I've seen so many companies come in and say, we're going to add sensors to your equipment to do the condition monitoring. And the problem is because of that operations mentality that a lot of our manufacturers have, those sensors, if they go down or they break or they're not being used anymore, they won't be used. The condition monitoring system won't operate effectively, and there's no use having the condition monitoring anyway. And what we as integrators can do is, a lot of times instead of duplicating sensors, you can go into the PLC, you can go into the equipment, get that value and spit it up to the cloud. So we really have a tremendous ability to do condition monitoring so that the client always has the data and they're always able to monitor. One of the things that it does too is it also reduces the need for people on the floor to do inspections or whatever. So you're reducing the need for people contacting each other by being able to do condition monitoring. The other thing that helps reduce people on the floor and helps manufacturers is really remote troubleshooting. There's this company called Remote Eye. I thought they had a pretty cool solution, but there's a lot of different solutions out there. Colin, I'll let you play this video by this company called Remote Eye.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you. So I know we all get those calls. Hey, I have my machine down. How soon can you get a guy out here? How soon can you get a guy on a plane? You know, you get a guy on a plane. Go ahead and go back to the previous one, Colin. If you get a guy on a plane and you know, he's flying, somebody on that plane's affected with COVID or whatever, now he's infecting the plant. Maybe they have a quarantine. I know a lot of our clients, I'm flying to Texas next week, and some of our clients down there, because I'm flying in on a flight, can't see me. So, you know, some can. Everybody has different rules around that. One of the things that I've heard is that 72% of manufacturers are not using any type of remote troubleshooting, you know, and it's great to be able to VPN or whatever into a PLC to try to troubleshoot it, but it also helps to have the visual too. It's always nice to be able to see the machine. So one of the things you might want to think about your integration business is how you can provide services for this, so that, you know, your employees don't have to get on a plane, that they can help troubleshoot for your clients. You know, security is always a concern. People don't like to leave an open link into their facility. There are some products out there to help that. You know, Phoenix MGuard is one that we use and we like a lot, but there are other ones out there. So anyway, that also helps reduce people on the floor. So, okay, the next slide, we also have a poll associated with this, is really ensuring worker safety and distancing through RFID and RTLS. RFID's been around quite a while. RTLS is probably 4 or 5 that's been used. RTLS really has most of its usage in the healthcare industry. A lot of healthcare equipment and stuff like that, they need to find it, and they don't know where it is. They don't know where it is in the hospital, so they slap an RTLS tag on a lot of the high dollar equipment so that they can find the equipment when they need it. But there's a lot of applications that this can be used at for our clients. We've done it for automotive, parked in a lot, like at a facility, to find a certain auto, to find dies in die field. stuff like that. You can also attach an RTLS tag to an operator, and you can do social distancing that way. You can also do, you know, maybe you have an operator on second shift who's doing the job a lot better than the operator on first shift, or a lot faster. You can do a little bit of studying how the guy on second shift does the project to kind of show, or does the work to show it to the guy on first shift. RFID is really what? It's really like a license plate that you're reading, where RTLS is more of a wear, and it's kind of like a find your iPhone. We do have a poll here. If you want to put up the poll, Colin,
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Sure thing. All right, so we're about half voted right now. Okay.
And then we have a second question to this poll, right?
Yes, that is correct. So I'm going to end the voting for this one, and then we'll go to the second part in just a second. Share results. So you should be seeing the results right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. A little bit over 50% have experience with RFID.
Okay, and let me get the other one up. So I'm going to stop that one there and launch polling for the second one. Okay, so that's in progress.
And these poll results are saved, right, Colin?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay.
So we're at about 75% voted, so I'm going to end it there and show results.
Yep. So that is interesting. RTLS is still kind of a merging technology in manufacturing, an emerging technology. So, okay,
All
cool.
right, so I'm going to stop share results there and give it back to you, Sam. Is this slide okay?
Perfect. You can go to the next one.
All right.
The other thing, or ensuring worker safety, is contact tracing. On the previous slide, I told you that you can do contact tracing through RTLS. That can actually get pretty expensive. There's this company, Odagy, and I know one of our clients is using this technology for contact tracing. But anyway, I think that's a video, isn't it, Colin? I think instead of going to YouTube, it's actually embedded.
Okay, yes it is. Here we go.
Physical distancing and contact tracing proved to be the most important measures to fighting the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus and getting us back to normality. In response to this mission, Odagy Incorporated, a U.S.-based technology company, developed the PAC wristband, a BLE-enabled wristband for proximity alerts and contact tracing. Using patent-pending technology, PAC ensures military personnel, healthcare workers, public safety professionals, and essential workers are practicing CDC-recommended guidelines while seamlessly capturing accurate contact tracing data. When two wristbands come within 6 feet of one another, each wristband vibrates, reminding employees to maintain proper physical distancing measures. In addition to this general reminder, contact tracing data is captured on each band, recording who is in proximity of who, in addition to the contact time and duration. If someone wearing a PAC wristband tests positive for COVID-19 or any other similar virus, encrypted user data can be downloaded for the wristband for immediate analysis and contact tracing, thus allowing companies and authorities to take proactive and preventive measures to contain a potential spread. Unlike a smartphone app, the PAC wristband is unintrusive, accurate, and secure. It is not dependent on phone capabilities, limits proximity data to the exact distance, and avoids personal cell phone privacy invasion. You can't fight what you can't see. With tens of thousands being deployed already, the PAC wristband is our solution to opening back the economy in a safer and more confident way.
So I think Odagy, I think I saw something like $2 a month for one of those wristbands. They have some readers that they have for it and all that stuff, and it's using Bluetooth technology to see who you're within 6 feet of and all. And as you know, contact tracing, within a facility is going to become important, and it's really tough to tell the employees to use their smartphones to do it, because some employees won't have smartphones. Some people will think that's a violation of their privacy. But, and I think the one thing O2G misses on this is wristbands. I know in a lot of manufacturing facilities, they certainly don't want you to wear wristbands. But you can think a little bit about how contact tracing can help with your clients, and what kind of technologies you can offer to that, or even contact tracing in your own facility to keep your workers safe. Go ahead, Colin, flip to the next slide. We're going to talk through, oh, yeah, there you go. We're going to talk about, you can also use systems like Plant Sim, Process Sim, other simulation software to do flow studies for your clients to see how operators are going to interact. I think since we're doing on time, we can kind of skip this Technomatics video there, Colin. But you can see that what they're doing is basically seeing how the operators, and this is actually on the ventilator assembly. I believe the GM was doing that. They did this flow study and all, and saw how putting partitions up and all that could affect where they come in contact with each other and all that kind of good stuff. So it's just another tool in our belt to ensure worker safety. So if you want to go ahead and flip to the next one. Now, you know, the need to work smarter. Our clients have this. We have this. You know, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, automotive manufacturing, and he's a manufacturing engineer, and he's not going back to the office until September. They're not considered critical at this point. And, you know, we have really learned through COVID on how to work remotely. I know, you know, I'm in the office today, but I've never slowed down. It's just been either working at home. I'm starting to come into the office more, but we have a lot of team members that are working at home. Certainly you miss some collaboration. You know, you miss going to somebody's cube and just asking them a question or stuff like that. But there's some great tools out there. And I guess we do have a poll up here. We just kind of wanted to see what kind of collaboration software you guys were using internally in your company. Go ahead and throw that poll up, Colin. And this is the last poll of the day.
Okay, so that's in progress. Around 50%. Okay, so that's about done. Go ahead and end that and share results.
Wow. I'm shocked. Teams is winning tremendously. Good for Bill Gates. He needs the money. Yeah, that's and I'm shocked that there's only one person that answered Slack. I've heard a lot of good things about Slack, but yeah. Anyway, I know we are one of the ones that use Teams, and your clients are using them all the time. And you know, the one thing about collaboration and collaborative tools is you really have to be intentional about communicating with teams. A lot of Scrum meetings, Scrum project management type stuff where you guys are talking a lot more, even if it is just over a collaboration software tool. Go ahead and flip to the next one there, Colin. So one of the things is data, right? Forever we've been collecting a lot of data off the floor. Some people are collecting none, but I find what they do with the data is not a whole lot. Maybe some SCADA. when you talk about cloud-based systems, I think misconception is, oh yeah, it's cloud-based, so what we're going to do is SCADA in the sky. And you know, being able to put a SCADA system out on somebody's phone at their house and all, that's great, but the real key, but that's been able to be done for a while. The real key is the data. And you know, typically when one of the reasons I think a lot of these proof of concepts go, when you go to a client, they will go, I want as much data as I can get off that machine, and I want to get it as fast as I can get it. And what they don't realize is the stress that that's going to cause to their network. How fast is fast enough? Is it 100 milliseconds? Is it 10 milliseconds? Is it, you know, once every 4 seconds, you know, and a lot of what we can do as integrators is really helping that customer understand what should be done on the edge and what should be done on the cloud. A lot of the calculations and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of the analytics can be done on the edge and then fed up to the cloud. But the one thing that clients are going to be very resistant to, and one thing that's not going to work, and it's kind of the reason of adding all the sensors in the condition monitoring system, is that if you just put a whole bunch of PCs on their floor to collect all this data, they're not going to maintain those PCs. So whatever type of edge devices you have, you got to be able to maintain them, configure them, and all from a central location. There's companies like Pixion that does that, and it's you know, similar to what's been done in the IT world, but you really need to make sure that you can manage those edge gateways and really help your clients understand what should be done on the edge, what should be done on the cloud, how the data should be stored, and this kind of stuff. So, and one more slide there, Colin. One more point about working smarter. And I think this is really kind of this slide, I found it on the internet, really does describe what I see a lot with our clients, is that they're data rich, they have a lot of data, but very poor information. And one of the things that we need to do is start taking a look at data science and how that affects it. Now, what happens in manufacturing a lot is you get a lot of companies that cannot contextualize the data at all. And they come to these manufacturers, they say, just throw us all your data. We'll come to some conclusions for it. But because they can't contextualize the data at all, the clients end up very disappointed. The advantage we have as integrators is we can contextualize the data. And it's so important in that. You know, I'm a huge baseball fan. Baseball sucks this year. It looks like the owners and the players aren't going to get together and going to cancel the season. But one of the things that baseball has done tremendously over the last few years is analytics. Every team has a bunch of guys, or a team of people in their front office that do nothing but analyze stats. But if those people in the front office knew nothing about baseball, because they're invariably baseball fans, they would not have no idea of what the data that they're looking at. The other thing too is, even though they have all these data scientists and all, they're presenting information and suggestions to the manager of the team, and it's still up to the manager on what he does with that data and how he works with that data. It goes a lot to manufacturing. You can help, you can do the role of analyzing the data, showing what it does, maybe throwing the data through some simulations. At the end of the day, you got to give it back to your client with the suggestions, and then he has to implement those into his operations. So, you know, I can tell you, data scientists, any graduate in data scientists are making 20-25% of what graduate engineers, or 20-25% more than graduate engineers are at this point. So you got to take a look at either hiring those people, or better yet, one of the strategies we've had at Patty Engineering is we've had some data science consultants that are helping train our staff. So. With that, go ahead and go to the next slide. That's pretty much ending the content of my presentation. I saw this quotation about the fourth industrial revolution. It's still in its very early stage, but the time to join it is now. So with that, Colin, I'd like to open it up to questions.
Sure. Okay. So anyone, there's a Q&A section. If you can put any questions you have in there, we will take those.
I want it to be a little bit free form too. So if anybody has any ideas or anything they think I might have missed, please feel free. Any questions there, Colin?
So I'm not seeing anything yet, Sam.
Okay. Well, I would say maybe give it a couple more seconds there. And
Yeah. Okay, we have one.
Okay.
Importance of citizen data scientists. What role will AutoML play in adopting the data science culture for control engineers?
So whoever asked that question, could you open up their mic? I'm assuming they're talking about like machine learning by AutoML.
Sure, give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm allowing him to talk.
Hi, Colin. This is Aniket.
Hi, Aniket.
Hey, so yeah, you're right. My question is the role of AutoML. So obviously the control engineers and the experts who are working in this industry for long, they don't have data science background. But there are platforms like AutoML which can be used by these personas, and they don't need to be data science tech savvy. They can use the AutoML to drive the value from the insights from the data, because they are the one who are operating the plant and all that. So what role do you think the AutoML has to play?
Well, I think it has a very important role to play. You know, certainly like I take a look at like PID stuff, you know, and you can auto tune that and all. What happens a lot of times in manufacturing is with the amount of inputs and the amount of outputs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see that the machine learning can get very complex very quickly. So you really have to break it down into specific areas that you want to improve, and you still got to set up the machine learning itself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think some part gets very complex. Like I think predictive maintenance, it's kind of easy, but when it comes to optimizing the control system using machine learning, that can get a bit complex, because there is not a lot of study out there when people are using actually database algorithm to optimize the plant process. It's all traditional as of now. It's generally the old algorithms like PNID and all that stuff that's being used. But I'm not sure how far in the future will people actually start using database algorithm and AutoML to optimize the control systems and process. That's a bit complex, and I believe it's something that will be used, but I'm not sure when people start adopting that.
Yeah, there are some cool systems out there. There's a company called Beats that they take a look at a machine and how it operates, right? Because most machines, you fire a cylinder, you look for a switch or whatever, and it learns how long that usually takes. So it kind of teaches itself how long that will take, and what it does is if something gets out of whack or starts slowing down, or the machine starts slowing down, or that motion starts slowing down, it flags it like something's wrong there, right? And it little bit of machine learning that way. So if you can break it down to individual tasks, I think the problem with machine learning, or then there's no problems with machine learning. It's great. It's just that you have to break it down to simplified tasks that the machine can learn at this point, because it's not there to be able to handle a whole complex control system with hundreds of inputs and outputs.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we have another one. LNS Research did a study and found creating and hiring for a chief digital officer role has no correlation with the success of an organization's industrial transformation. And a second point on that, only 9% of companies include plant managers as part of the industrial transformation team.
And that is very interesting, and I would agree that I see that often, that you go to these facilities and they really don't include operations enough in their digital transformation. Somebody goes in and sells them that, hey, you know what, we're going to put this AI on your floor. It's going to tell your managers, or it's going to be better than your managers, instead of working hand in hand with the operations team. And I think a lot of times, starting in the boardroom, at the CIO level, they really need to involve operations more. So I don't know who asked that question, but if you'd like to open up their mic and see if they kind of feel the same way, that'd be great.
Sure. So yeah, that was Don Roberts. So
Don Roberts, I think I know that guy.
Hey, Sam. Yeah, interesting research that was done there, and those are the two main points that came out of it. But it was actually a bit of a shock to me to see that so many industrial spots would try to tackle the industrial transformation without incorporating the people that know the most about what has to be done. So, I think you started off the conversation with saying something about how companies are kind of stuck in the pilot mode, and one of the reasons, and the research points to this quite a bit, is that that's a great little pilot, but look, I got production to run here, and so by not incorporating the production people into it, there's no hope of it ever getting out of a pilot phase. So
yeah, you really have to include the operations people, and they're going to be tough, man. They don't, I know we've got some projects and they're progressing along, and man, if you present something that's wrong, they're going to hold you to it. But by working together and collaborating with them, you could really improve what you're doing. We've gone into a lot of these projects, and the first thing that you have to do is they say they have all this data, and then you start digging down into the data, and you see that the data integrity is not nearly as good as what they thought it was. So
yeah, I think one of the key roles for integrators is going to be that data cleansing. You're hearing that term start to come up as people are getting bombarded with massive amounts of bits, but they don't mean a whole lot. And so I think the integrator's role is going to be pretty critical there.
Yep, I agree. Colin, any other questions?
Yeah, so we have, this one says, hello, thanks for the informative session. My question is about any new technologies or methods for remote factory acceptance tests of control systems, specifically the systems which have control panels.
So I think when we talked about that remote eye, certainly that's a way you could do a factory acceptance test. There are, other systems I've seen where you can put maybe cameras all the way around the system. I think you need the visual. I think the one thing on the FAT is not only getting into the facility, but you need a way to visualize what's happening also. And you need visualization all around. You can open up that if anybody has seen anything that they think's cool, and let them chime in.
Sure.
If you want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand.
So I allowed them to speak. I'm not seeing them come through yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we got about 10 minutes to spare. Thank you guys very much for your time. This is very interesting. I know it's growing. It's going to be changing, but I think over the next 5 years, digitalization is the key to manufacturing in the U.S. So.
Thanks, Sam. And on behalf of CSIA, I would just like to thank you and everyone attending and let you know that a recording will be available. You'll get a link to where all the recordings are housed, I believe, in a day from now from Zoom. So you will have that recording, and any other webinar you may have missed is in that same webinar archive page. And just to take a look at our events calendar of any upcoming webinars that you might want to join. We do have a few of them up there. So if you could take a look, we would appreciate it. And with that, I would like to thank you again, Sam.
Okay, is it possible on that webinar archive to put the results of the polls up there, maybe in a separate document?
So I'm not sure if that's possible. The polls will definitely be on the recording, so you'll be able to see them in the recording. It'll show up exactly when we posted them. But other than that, I can send them to you, and I might be able to put them somewhere on the CSIA page.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could send me the results of the polls, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
Appreciate
not a problem.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.